Hey everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House, and we are here for part 2 of our Halloween series. So just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that button for me. It really helps me out a lot. So project 1 is this shelf sitter, or I'm assuming that's what it is. I purchased this from the Goodwill, and I'm just going to give it a quick cleanup, and I'm going to grab my DOS air dry clay and this mold from Prima. I think this is called Skull and Bones. So the first thing I'm going to do is dust that with some cornstarch, and then I'm going to make a mold of the big skull that's there. Once I have that out, I'm just going to place it at the center there of the top part, and I'm going to glue that down with some Type Bond quick and thick. I was kind of sloppy with that, so I'm just cleaning up around the edges, and then I am going to tape that down so it doesn't move. Then I'm going to grab my IOD Trimmings 3 mold, and again I'm just going to coat the mold with some cornstarch and then use the DOS clay as well, and make a mold of the trimmings for the bottom of the shelf sitter. I made 2 of these. They overlap, so all I did was, once I measured it on there, I just cut off the excess with a palette knife. I grabbed the IOD Veritas mold, and I want to just kind of use this to decorate it a little bit more, to give it a little bit more detail and stuff. So I just made some molds of that to kind of fill the space up around the bottom there. And then I'm just making sure to tape that down as well so it doesn't move. I actually let that sit overnight, and then I decided that I was going to use that same mold and make some more for around the skull. So here you see me again, just molding that, and I am going to just take that out, cut it up where I want it to be, you know, smaller pieces and stuff, and then lay those down around the skull at the top. Again, using my Type Bond quick and thick. I think this is probably gonna be my favorite, and then the Gorilla Super Glue Gel is running second for me. So I'm just putting these into place, and again I'm going to tape those down so that they don't move around on me. So again, I just let that dry overnight so that the glue set up before I remove the tape. So once I have all the tape removed, I'm going to go back in with the black paint with the baking soda that you saw me do in the part 1 video. This is the same paint, and I'm going to start to go over those molds to make sure that I have a full coverage of that black color. So I do 2 coats of this, and I just dry between each coat with my embossing gun. So once that's all dry, then I grab the Dixie Belle patina paint in iron, and I'm just going to go over this whole thing with that and just doing 1 coat, a fairly light coat, just to kind of give it that base there. And then I let that dry, and then I do go in with a 2nd coat. So here what I'm doing is I'm gonna put that in a little cup so that I don't contaminate, because what I'm going to do is go back and forth between the paint and the patina spray. And when you do this, you actually get a really rough kind of texture that you get from, you know, rust, when rust is kind of starts to flake off and stuff like that. So I just go back and forth. I put paint on, and with the same brush I go back and I put the patina spray on. And this just allows me to get a lot of that kind of flaky, rusty texture that you see when you see something that has really rusted over. So I let that sit for a while just so that patina spray and paint can work together and get that finish that I want. So after that's dry, I let it sit overnight. So then I came back in the next morning with this moss, and I'm just going to super glue that down around the areas where I think it looks good. The thing I love about this is the color of the moss, that green color against that rust color and stuff. It just looks so beautiful, the color combination, and I really like the way that this turned out. You could really see that texture there in that photo. I'm having so much fun with these Halloween projects. I just love doing them. Project number 2 are these little tins that I get my tea in. This is what I drink in the morning instead of coffee, so I have a number of them. So I am going to get my resin, and this is 1-to-1 ratio, and then I'm going to get the titanium white, and this is what I color my resin with. And just like you saw in the first video, I'm going to make the little skulls out of the molds that I got from Amazon, and those will be linked below. I got this off of Graphics Fairy, and I just downloaded those and cut them out, and then I demolded the little skulls while they were still soft. And what I'm going to do is tape those around these little knobs so that they kind of take that curve of the knob, and I'm going to let those sit until they harden up for me. Here you can see this is a little while later, and I'm going to take the tape off of these, and the little skull is stuck there pretty good, but I pull it off because I want to paint these. So, but you can see how it's now taken the shape of that knob. I grabbed some black acrylic paint, and what I'm going to do is then paint the knob itself. And I haven't glued down the skulls yet on there, so I'm just going to take the skulls off and paint the knobs there. These dry fairly fast, and the paint covered that really well. They were just like kind of like a raw wood. So I'm going to grab my DIY dark wax, and like you saw me do in the first part 1, I'm just going to go over these little skulls and then wipe them back with that dark wax. I decided that I want the eyes and the nose and around the teeth a little bit darker. So I'm grabbing that same black paint and just filling that in with a small brush. And then I wipe any extra stuff that I got on their back. Grabbing the Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel, I am going to then glue those skulls right onto the top of those knobs. I'm going to grab the leftover wax and I'm just going to go around the labels that I cut out there just to kind of give them a more, antique look or kind of dirty look to them. So I'm just taking my finger and kind of smudging that around onto the label. After I'm done with that, I'm grabbing the Mod Podge in the matte and I am going to start to Mod Podge or decoupage these labels to the tin. I don't know if I said that, but I did take these outside and sprayed them black, obviously, with just a matte black in the Rust-Oleum. So I just go over them, lay the label down, and then what I did is went over the whole tin with the Mod Podge after I got the label down, just so that everything kind of had that same look. And since it was matte, it kept that matte look. So I grabbed the Gorilla Glue gel, Super Glue Gel again, and I'm just going to glue those knobs right in the center of the lid. I think these came out really good. I think this is a really cute use of like tins that you would normally just throw away. They are really a good tin. They're pretty hardy. So I think that since I have quite a bit of them, I will probably be doing more projects like this using those tins. Project 3 are these 2 lanterns that I got off of Facebook Marketplace quite some time ago. They've just been kind of sitting in my garage. I haven't done a whole lot with them, so I just cleaned them up, and then what I'm going to do is take Fire Starter in the DIY paint line and pour some out in a cup. Add a little bit of water to that just to kind of thin it out, and then what I'm going to do is proceed to paint the inside of these lanterns. I did about 4 or 5 coats actually on the inside of these, drying them with my embossing gun just to kind of get more of a solid look, but you could still kind of see through them, so they kind of have that stained glass look. So I'm wanting to put some decals on the outside, so I'm getting my Oracle 651. This is permanent vinyl. You can actually use temporary if you decide that you want to change the look of these. I decided that these were just going to be for Halloween, so I went ahead and used the permanent vinyl. I got on the Cricut Design Space and just kind of picked out some and kind of designed around it and switched up some stuff, and then went ahead and cut that out on my Cricut Maker. Here I have the transfer tape, and I'm just going to put that over the top and rub it to get it to transfer to the clear tape, and then I will use that to transfer it onto my project. So here I'm just using a transfer stick and just transferring those on. Here I'm showing you that I'm actually cutting this out pretty close to the design because that is easier for me to kind of get it centered and not have it sticking where I don't want it to stick. So just like you would do with a transfer, I'm just kind of setting that where I want, folding back one edge, and then I'm going to remove the backing as I'm kind of smoothing that out. This just works easier for me. I know some people don't like to do that because they don't like to waste the transfer tape, but it's still a big enough piece that you can use it for something else. So I just begin to transfer that on to the lantern, and I'm using the back of that little spatula to kind of get out the air bubbles. If they don't come out that way, you can poke it with a pin and get the air out that way. That seems to work really well. I love how these turned out. Here I'm using it as one of them as kind of like a like a vase or urn, but you can put a light in there and the light will still come shining through. Project 4 is this, I don't know, a bowl, like a footed bowl. I got this from the Goodwill sometime last year, and I'm just going to start out by cleaning that off. I grabbed this shabby chic furniture paint, and it's in the color licorice. I believe I got this off Amazon. I purchased this probably a year or so ago. I forgot that I had it. I was on the lookout for some black paint because I've kind of run through what I had, and I found this in my garage, so I just decided to use this. So here what I'm doing is I'm just going to go and paint this whole bowl with a couple of coats of this shabby chic furniture paint. This bowl has some really beautiful detail. The leaves that come over the side, I really love that. It just has a really pretty look. I don't, of course, like the color it is now, but even just painting it black here, it takes on a completely different look. So I'm going to grab my Empire Gold gilding wax, and I am going to highlight all of the little details of this bowl. Just using my finger and kind of, going across the tops of the designs. So now that I have that done, I'm going to go in with my DIY dark wax, and I'm just going to do a coat over the whole bowl. I'm not going to wipe this back. I'm just going to do a coat over the whole thing and let it kind of take that gold back a little bit. So once that's all set, I am now ready to kind of decorate the inside of that. I grabbed this wreath and I'm just kind of tucking it under those handles there, and it's staying in place really well. I want to fill up that center because I want this to look more like a nest, so I just kind of grabbed some packaging that I had that came in with the delivery, and I am just going to fill up that center. I grabbed this dark brown Excelsior, I think it's called. And I got this from Hobby Lobby, I believe, but for some reason I just couldn't find it on their website. So, but you could get it from Amazon. I think the picture that I inserted was from Amazon or Michael's. So I just kind of filled that center so it looked more like a nest. And now I just grabbed my bin of my odd and end moss pieces, and I'm just going to start tucking those in here and there around that wreath. Once I have that where I want, I'm just going to start adding little details here and there. I got these little spiders off of out of Michael's, and all of their stuff is like 40% off. The skull is from Michael's, but the little bones are from the dollar store, I believe. So I'm going to make those, the skull and the little bones, look old. So again, I'm going to go back in with that DIY dark wax, but I'm going to darken up some areas and draw some lines just following the kind of like skull lines that are there, just with this black Sharpie, just to kind of bring those details out a little bit. Once I have all that traced out with that Sharpie marker, I'm going to go back in with that dark wax and just kind of coat everything and wipe it back. I'm not being aggressive when I wipe it back because I do want it to kind of look old and creepy and yucky. So I'm just dragging that pen across those little bones, just kind of giving them, you know, a little bit more character because they're really kind of flat. So marking that with the Sharpie and then just going back in with the DIY dark wax, and then I just place those around the bowl. The crow that I had on there is a crow that I had from a couple of years ago, and so I just used that. This little snake I purchased, I think it's a set of 4 from Amazon, so I'm just using one of them and just using that black acrylic paint and painting that over the top, and then I'm just dragging that down underneath. So now I'm just kind of arranging things how I want to make it kind of scary. I wanted to put a little bit of color on there because it just looked a little flat to me. It seemed like it was all kind of in that same green, black, brown color. So I grabbed some of these flowers that I got from Michael's and just cut off a couple. I got the mushrooms from Michael's as well. It's part of their Halloween stuff, so those were also 40% off, and I just kind of stuck those in there with some hot glue, and that's how it turned out. I love this. I am going to set this as a centerpiece in my kitchen, I think, or maybe on my coffee table. I'm not sure. So but I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Project 5 is, again, I had this little lamp, and I'm going to start off by just kind of taking it apart and removing all the pieces that I don't need. So I just removed that, and then I'm going to pull out the cord, and I cleaned it off and sent it with my husband so he could cut that little top off there. So he brought it back to me, and this little cloche and the bottom was also a Goodwill find, probably a little over a year ago. And I did redo the bottom at some point, but now I'm ready to turn it into something else. So I'm just grabbing my E6000, and what I'm going to do is take that and glue it to the bottom of that base. I grabbed some floral foam, and what I'm doing is just kind of rounding out the edges here so that it just looks a little bit more natural once I cover it. I didn't have any wire, so I just grabbed a wire hanger and just cut off the straight pieces that were there. This actually worked out really well. good use recycle for your wire hangers. So these are more mushrooms that I got from Michael's. And again, these are part of their Halloween decor and are 40% off. And I'm just removing those little clips that they put on there to kind of clip them to other things. I don't need them. So I grabbed the wire hanger bits that I cut off, and I'm just pushing them into the mushrooms because these are kind of made out of foam as well. So I'm just pushing them into the bottom. Here I'm just kind of clipping off the length that I think that I'll need, and I'm just kind of adjusting those to place them where I want. I grabbed some more of some black paint, and what I'm going to do with that is paint the wire coming out of the mushroom, only because I kind of want those to kind of fall back. I don't want them to, you know, kind of stick out. I just kind of want them to blend in with their surroundings. So I put those aside to dry, and then I'm grabbing the super moss. I think I got this from Hobby Lobby some time ago. This bag has lasted forever. So I'm going to glue that floral foam down, and I'm going to get the moss and start to cover that floral foam with it. So once I have that covered, I am going to grab one of these little skulls that was part of a little pack that I purchased from Michael's. And again, I'm going to cover that with some DIY dark wax just to kind of make it look old. Then I'm going to start placing my other items. So I go ahead and put those mushrooms in where I want them. I'm going to glue down that little skull that's there. And I have this black butterfly that I purchased. It's a pretty big set that I got from Amazon, and they're pretty cheap. So I put that coming off of one of the mushrooms, and I put a couple of spiders in there. And now I'm just going to put the cloche on top. I decided that I wanted to kind of dress up that bottom part. So I grabbed the gilding wax in the Empire Gold, and just using my finger, I'm going around the bottom part. I really love, I think this is probably my my most favorite project that I did for this week. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you're enjoying this series so far. Let me know if you are. And also let me know which project is your favorite. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It just helps my channel grow, and so that I can kind of keep doing what I'm doing. So thanks for watching, and I will see you soon for part 3.